So journalist, commentator Dana Bash from CNN was confronted recently. She was confronted by Code Pink activists. And one thing I want to say to the woman who confronted her is that, number one, she wasn't yelling. She wasn't being disrespectful. You're going to see that in the video. She was very calm. And I want you to remember that when you see Dana Bash's response, because first of all, Dana Bash, you have spread multiple lies about Israel and Gaza. And the fact that this woman was as calm with you as she was, I want to go ahead and give her a round of applause for being as calm, because I don't think I could have done, I don't know. Like, I don't think I could have done it. But Code Pink here, journalist Code Pink, we're going to start calling her commentator, but journalist Dana Bash, disbelief when you're confronted with facts about Israel's policies. Let's get into this confrontation here. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Liz Holzman. I'm a member of this community, and I want to tell you that I'm really upset at what I perceive to be the conflation of anti-Semitism. This is not true, and that.
Okay, so first of all, what she said was that she's a member of the community, and she's upset about the conflation of anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism.
Anti-Semitism. This is not true, and that is very anti-Semitic and very dangerous to our Jewish community and our Jewish values. When you do that, I just don't know if you understand that you are being a mouthpiece for the genocide in Gaza.
Let me pause here. Okay, so this is where I think she's being a little too nice, right? She told Dana Bash that she doesn't think she understands that she's being a mouthpiece to the genocide in Gaza. Dana Bash knows exactly what she's doing. She knows she's being a mouthpiece to the genocide in Gaza. So I think, for the woman that's confronting her when she says, I don't think that you understand. No, I think that you're giving Dana Bash too much credit. She knows exactly what she's doing. She does understand. The script was written months ago. She knows what she's doing. So don't give her that much credit.
That is wrong. Genocide is the most anti-Semitic thing out there. This woman is 90 years old. She's a Holocaust survivor. She stands outside the White House every single day because she lost people in the Holocaust, and she's aware that what is going on now is a Holocaust. Do you have an answer for me? I'd really like to know.
Okay. I'm not here to debate. I will just say one thing. Being anti-Israel, anti-Israeli government is not anti-Semitic.
Okay. Well,
so hold that, guys, because we're going to hold her to that. Being anti-Israel and anti-Israel's government is not anti-Semitic. Everyone, make sure you hold her to that.
That's what the protests are about on campus.
No.
And you cited them several times. I have been to those protests.
Have you been to the ones at my house where they call?
Okay, let's go back a little bit because I want to show you something.
Have you been to the ones at my house where they call me Zionist trash and call for the Intifada against me?
Okay, I'm not going to single out the extremists. You talked about the protests on campus.
Those are extremists.
Are not anti-Semitic.
So here is Dana Bash conflating two different incidents. The woman that is speaking to Dana Bash is talking about the way that she covered the campus protest. And for those of us that have been at the campus protest, and she was there, Code Pink was there, they know that what they were saying was not anti-Semitic, right? That's what the woman is explaining to Dana Bash. The way that you covered those campus protests was lies, just flat out lies. And again, this woman is very calm. Like I said, it couldn't have been me. Now Dana Bash wants to bring up the protest that happened outside her house. So as a commentator for CNN, you took what happened outside your house and you blended this with what occurred at the campus protest. Do you think that's responsible for a so-called journalist to do? For a so-called journalist to sit up there and to take one incident and to mix it with another one? These are two different situations. People protesting outside your house calling you a Zionist also is not anti-Semitic. Zionism and Judaism are two different things. So Dana Bash took what happened to her on the personal end, and she chose to exhibit that when she covered Gaza and Israel. She took what happened to her at her house, the names, whatever she was called, etc., and she used that in her coverage when she covered these stories. So as far as I see it, Dana Bash should not be allowed to cover Israel and Gaza going forward, period. She has a bias there. I would have never known this if she didn't admit it. She told her that. The woman didn't ask her anything about protest outside her house. She volunteered that information. So you see what you did, Dana. You let everybody know that the reason why you have the position that you do on the news is because of what was said to you in private outside your house, not because of what happened at the campus protest. So you decided to take your personal experience and mix it into the stories. She should not be allowed to cover these stories.
Are not anti-Semitic.
There are many genuine pro-Palestinian protests.
But you have never said that on CNN News. You have never said that any of those protests on campus or any of the Palestinian protests were genuine. You attacked them at every chance that you got. You said negative things about them at every chance that you got. You never said anything positive about the pro-Palestinian protests. But now in private, you can say these things. But when you had a camera in front of your face on CNN, you smeared the protests, you smeared the students, you smeared the activists. Dana Bash is letting you know that she is just a propagandist. She's letting you know that she knew that those protests were genuine and she told you otherwise. What does that tell you about CNN? What does that tell you about corporate media? What does that tell you about Dana Bash and how she chose to cover those stories? You see, you didn't messed up. It reminds me of the movie Menace to Society. Speaking of a menace to society, there's a scene in the movie Menace to Society where the main character, he's in an interrogation room and a detective is asking him, where was he at the scene of the crime? And he starts to mess up his story a little bit. And the detective, some of you guys know who I'm talking about. I think his name is Duke. I think the actor's name is Duke. The detective who's sitting there, he goes, wait a minute. First you said that you were there. Now you're telling me that you are here. You know you done fucked up, right? Dana, you know you done fucked up, right? Bill Duke. Thank you. I knew you guys knew. Somebody knew in the chat. Red 6 said Bill Duke. Yeah. Watch Menace to Society. That's my favorite scene from that movie.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
What I am talking about are when people say from the river to the sea, they want to do away with the state of Israel. When they come to my house and go to other places.
Except that the Likud government says from the river to the sea.
What?
In the future, the state of Israel have to control on the entire area from the river to the sea.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we're going to...
This is the journalist? This is the commentator? So the Code Pink activist is explaining to her the Likud government says that. Dana Bash's response is, what? You never heard this before, Dana. You didn't do your research, Dana. No, these people come to the studio, they sit down at a desk and they read a teleprompter. I know. I studied broadcast journalism in undergrad. I know how it works. I know what they do. How you not know? Stop calling these people journalists. You guys in the chat know this, but Dana Bash don't know this. You guys in the chat know more about what the Likud party has been saying, but Dana Bash don't know, and she paid to do this. How much are they paying her per year? You want to look it up, Eric, if you got time? Look up Dana Bash's salary, because we got people out there like Anderson Cooper making $20 million a year to lie. Rachel Maddow making $30 million a year to lie. But you guys who are watching this show, you know more than they do. Doesn't that seem a little bit weird to you? Doesn't know about the Likud party, the things that they have said from the river to the sea. Now, she even responded. She had the nerve to respond. You came to a place of Jewish worship, stood on the bima near the Holy Torah scroll, and pretended to be congregants. Didn't the woman say she was a member of the community? You have no shame, no decency, and no clue what you're talking about. I don't know if mine is still here. Is my response still here? Yeah, it is. I said, you appeared on people's TV screens and pretended Palestinians weren't sexually assaulted in detention centers. Your lying ass network is dying. So this whole, you have no clue what you're talking about. No, honey, you have no clue what you're talking about. And you're the commentator. Thank you, Eric. Dana Bash's salary is $1 million a year. This woman is paid $1 million a year to lie to you. And I'll show you some of the lies. This was probably the worst. This conversation that she had, this was, I believe, 11 months ago. This conversation that she had here with Pramila Jayapal. Listen to her.
You are hearing from Hamas leaders over and over again that the brutal massacre of the 1,200 Israeli civilians was just the beginning, just a rehearsal, and that they want to continue to do it over and over again. So a ceasefire would keep that brutal terrorist regime in place in Gaza.
I don't think that's true. I think that what is true is that Hamas needs to be taken out. It is a terrorist organization.
How would you do that?
But I think the way to do that, as many terrorism experts have said, is to create a durable and strong coalition of allies within the Middle East, with the United States, with Israel, to make sure that we have a long-term political solution, that there is an alternative to Hamas to lead in Gaza and to establish a state for Palestinians. This is, I mean, we have to condemn what Hamas did on October 7th. We cannot allow for 15,000 Palestinians to date to have been killed, 3/4 of whom are women and children, and say that that is going to help us in the long term. Morally, Dana, but also strategically for Israel. The only way through this is to create a situation where there is a political solution that involves a Palestinian state and an Israeli state.
I think ideally what you're talking about could make sense. It's just unclear how you get from here to there. Who's going to get rid of Hamas if there's no continued war? And I think what you're relying on is the pressure from Arab states, and they haven't been willing to do that.
It's not just.
Let me pause here for a second. So you see what Dana Bash was doing. She said, who's going to get rid of Hamas? That was 11 months ago. Is Hamas gone? Never mind that this is an ideology. So destroying the people that are a part of Hamas doesn't destroy the ideology, especially now, because the way that Israel has been killing so many women, so many children, innocent people, destroying Gaza. Notice how Dana responded when Pramila Jayapal talked about all the women, the innocent people that are being killed. Notice how Dana she didn't really want to hear about that. She didn't want to hear about that. She's there to be a mouthpiece for Zionism. How often do you sit up here and hear Dana bash Netanyahu or the Likud party? Now, she said it's okay to criticize the Israeli government, and that's not anti-Semitic. Do you ever hear Dana Bash criticize the Israeli government? Do you ever hear it? So we need to stop this. We ain't got to sit up here and ask, oh, what side are you on? Or what do you feel? How do you believe? Get that out of here. We know what side Dana Bash is on. And we know she wants that war to continue. She don't give a damn about those Palestinian people.
Well, part of the reason they haven't been willing to do that is because we have been allowing Israel to literally indiscriminately bomb hospitals, violate international humanitarian law. And so we are creating
even pre-October.
enemies.
Okay, even pre-October 7th. Can I just ask you one more thing about that? You have seen the information and intelligence that Hamas has used its own civilians. The death of civilians it's horrendous. But Hamas has used its own civilians as human shields. Those hospitals and so forth are places where Hamas keeps weapons and keeps its Hamas leadership, that they have their headquarters there.
Dana.
And you can tell she has no idea what she's just repeating State Department talking points. Do you see this? I just wanted to remind you guys, this is why she was confronted.
International humanitarian law says that you cannot attack a hospital unless there are some circumstances. If rockets are fired from that hospital, that is one thing. But hospitals are protected. We have had refugee camps that are bombed. Right now, there are even the only pediatric hospital in Gaza is not operating. If we want to defeat terrorists, we have to abide by international humanitarian law. That is just my fundamental belief. And that at the end of the day, what we need is a lasting coalition that is not going to be formed if Israel continues to do what they are doing. And the United States cannot be backers of this kind of indiscriminate bombing. That is my firm belief. We should have conditions on military aid in the same way that we do for every other country.
I just want to remind everyone that after this interview, Pramila Jayapal got such incredible pushback from the ADL and from AIPAC, which, by the way, she doesn't even take money from AIPAC, but so much pushback that she had to change her statement online after this interview. That goes to show you just how much these lobbying groups have. She went and she changed her statement, which she should have never done. She should have never changed it because what she said was true. We should not continue to give them weapons. Listen to what Dana says.
You about sexual violence.
Here we
go. It's kind of remarkable that this issue hasn't gotten enough attention globally. Widespread use of rape, brutal rape, sexual violence against Israeli women by Hamas. I've seen a lot of progressive women, generally speaking, they're quick to defend women's rights and speak out against using rape as a weapon of war, but downright silent on what we saw on October 7th and what might be happening inside Gaza right now to these hostages. Why is that?
Pause. First and foremost, notice what Dana Bash does here. Notice how anything that happened to the Israelis is brutal. When she talks about the attacks on October 7th, she said the brutal attacks on Israelis. When she talks about the sexual assault, which, by the way, till this day, there is no evidence of, there was no evidence of, we have to continue to say that. It's brutal attacks. But whenever it's brought up, whenever they talk about the women and the children in Gaza, the people being killed in Gaza, she never uses the word brutal to define or to describe what has happened to the Palestinians. And in her own words and in her own twisted way, that is Dana Bash letting you know that she feels as though the Palestinians do not matter as much as the Israelis. Everyone has to pick up on the vocabulary. I have noticed this time and time again. Whenever you see people do that, when they will use the words brutal, horrific to describe what happened to the Israelis, but they never use those words to describe what has happened to the Palestinian people, They are telling you in their own covert way that the Palestinians don't matter as much as the Israelis. This woman sat up there and spread lie after lie after lie.
I mean, I don't know that that's true. I think we always talk about the impact of war on women in particular. In fact, I remember 20 years ago, I did a petition around the war in Iraq.
Have you said,
saying
have
that,
you talked about it since October 7th?
Absolutely. And I've condemned what Hamas has done. I've condemned
Specifically
all
against
of
women?
the actions. Absolutely. The rape, of course. But I think we have to remember that Israel is a democracy. That is why they are a strong ally of ours. And if they do not comply with international humanitarian law, they are bringing themselves to a place that makes it much more difficult strategically for them to be able to build the kinds of allies to keep public opinion with them. And frankly, morally, I think we cannot say that one war crime deserves another. That is not what international humanitarian law says.
Okay, with respect, I was just asking about the women, and you turned it back to Israel.
So do you see this? You see what she did here? By the way, this entire segment should have been, honestly, CNN should have issued a statement after this segment. This was Dana Bash being on the side of Israel. Did you see what she just did? She's like, I'm talking about what happened to these women, which again, there was no evidence for. Even the New York Times had to remove the article. No evidence for. I'm talking about the women, what happened to them, and you mentioned Israel. That was Dana Bash being biased. She should have never been allowed to continue to cover these stories after this interview. Never been allowed to do that. And they let her to continue to do it anyway.
I'm asking you about Hamas. In fact,
I already answered your question, Dana. I said it's horrific, and I think that rape is horrific, sexual assault is horrific. I think that it happens in war situations. Terrorist organizations like Hamas obviously are using these as tools. However, I think we have to be balanced about bringing in the outrages against Palestinians. 15,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes, 3/4 of whom are women and children.
and it's horrible, but you don't see Israeli soldiers raping.
Well, Dana, I think
that was false. That was false. There were videotapes of IDF soldiers sexually assaulting Palestinians in the detention center. So there was Dana Bash blatantly lying. Does everybody see the problem with this? That's why you were confronted, Dana. You have told lie after lie after lie. There is no way that this woman should be able to continue to cover these stories on that network. And there should have been a push for Dana Bash to resign from CNN. She was telling multiple lies in a row. She was there to defend and protect Israel, and that is why she was confronted, and she's still lying now. That woman is not a journalist. She sits at a desk and she reads a teleprompter. I don't even have a damn teleprompter in front of me, but I have a brain, and I'm not attached to the State Department. I ain't got to repeat their damn talking points. That is why people are moving away from CNN and MSNBC, and they wonder why their ratings are so bad. And they wonder why they're going to have more layoffs. And they wonder why people are abandoning their network. You are not giving news. You are giving propaganda, and you deserve to be confronted. That's what I got to say about that. What a mess. And that's what people wanted you to vote for. By the way, Kamala Harris spread those same lies. Donald Trump spread those same lies. There was no evidence of that till this day. Get out of here. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.